came 3 years ago. Not one case of someone being touched before then, and not one man of stature afflicted. That's the genius of it. It came at us through our women.
It's set in Victorian England, mostly, and it's sort of like girls with superpowers meets alien invasions meets super bad ass soldiers meets crazy scientists meets monsters.
The Danvers is really unique, the way it blends history and science fiction and fantasy and drama and comedy.
No.
Including a lot of different genres. It's just being more true to how we really live life. And it moves from one to the other seamlessly. So I think genre is absolutely invaluable for helping distance people so they can look objectively at the world.
Let's do this. The Touched are a bunch of mainly women, outcasts, and we discover that we each have particular abilities that have kind of come out of nowhere.
The differences they have are called turns. And these vary. So some of them are wringing wet and can't be dried off. Some of them speak many languages. Some of them can look into the future. Others build and make amazing machines. So they're a very, very interesting set of characters.
It's not a great thing to stick out during Victorian times. And, you know, if you've gills, it's hard to hide in a corset.
Miss True. Miss Adair.
You look very fine.
I think so too.
I have to say, the workmanship in every detail has been sort of eye-wateringly beautiful. My costumes, every bead hand-sewn. I have a costume with a peacock feather that's been sewn into the bodice of the dress. And I feel like grabbing the camera and sort of demanding a close-up of the hats and the hair and the jewellery because it's been so beautifully and lovingly made.
Honestly, the attention to detail on this job has been, it's like ace. I love Michelle, our costume designer. She's just, every time I go for a fitting, I literally see whatever she's wearing and I'm like, could we just make me that?
Well, the styles for the women were very corseted, and the real signature piece was incredibly sort of heavy, puffed sleeves, which actually we see more on Amalia and Lavinia. It was just this very restricted shape, very solid. The poorer classes didn't obviously have that. They were still corseted, but they weren't as extreme in their shaping. And then for the men, very high-waisted trousers, it's a great silhouette, quite long-line jackets, lovely long coats, which they can swagger around in, and lovely tall hats, and lots of really interesting collars and cravats.
Every shot, there is something that's been beautifully made from scratch.
I think it's best if you come stay with us for a bit, if that suits you.
The sets are incredible. I was really blown away by that. Penance's workshop is, I think, the coolest set.
We made all the little inventions that you see in Penance's.
And I love the snuffer, which is a fire extinguisher, because it just makes fire extinguishers a cool little backpack. And I love her car.
Coming through!
I mean, I've never in all my career have I sort of had to come up with designs for motor cars. So that was really exciting.
I loved the little bear thing, and I loved the little man in our carriage. I call him Oisin. I loved them just because I think they let you into Penance's mad head a bit. For example, the parasols that you see, it acts as a taser and the electricity is kind of Penance, and then it also becomes a knuckle duster, which, you know, kind of represents Amalia.
I love
building the sets, overseeing the sets, working with all my guys and making it come to life. That's the most exciting thing for me, really. And that's why these sort of jobs where you get to build a world are just fabulous. We couldn't build everything, so we found this amazing house. And what happened was that one could also build streets and everything else up there.
It's like you walk into the room and it's teeming with flowers and jelly with fish encased in it, and I was like looking at all the cakes and the sweets and all this mad food around the place. It just makes it look like people actually live there, and she just, makes it so real.
Because this place exists, you have to work within the confines of this place. So the rooms one next to another, or corridors. Then you've got this beautiful grand staircase which goes up to where Amalia's rooms are and where everybody else is sort of a bit more shoved into lesser quarters. And I think the fact that all these young women were sort of stuffed in there and they all had their little bits of personality along with kind of blankets and knitting, it became the heart of the house.
You know, you walk onto sets and you're just like, wow. The attention to detail in creating the world, it makes your job very easy.
We were actually going to shoot a town square in a completely different place before we had our lockdown hiatus.
So some of the really unique things that we had to learn as we went during these COVID times were once in a while a mask would get left on. And we would say, hey, maybe we have to digitally replace that person's lower face. Or, I could tell they probably didn't have enough people in the background. So we're using digital people. Now, digital people could either be one where we shoot real people on green screen, cut each one out, and then kind of fill out the crowd. So that's one way to go. And then the other is the full Monty, where we actually motion capture real people in suits that electronically record your movements so that we can apply those movements onto little digital characters that can behave, they can run, they can panic. So what you'll see in the show is a combination of the two.
If you're lucky, the actors get to choose and move around for a bit in rehearsal. And with COVID, that's actually been limited to a certain extent. We had to make choices a month before we shot so that there weren't going to be too many surprises that could adversely impact the filming environment.
Someone started a WhatsApp group, and all the way through lockdown, we were exchanging stupid jokes and serious reflections and shout-outs for help.
The cast are brilliant, and everybody has got their own quirky personalities.
Our age range within the cast is so big as well, so it's like we're all just like this motley gang of people.
I was quite worried going into it because I'm quite a lot younger than a lot of them, and I was worried about fitting in and everything. But everyone has been amazing and really helpful to me when I don't know what's going on.
I've never really come across both a cast and a crew where everybody gets along so well and everybody is just there with the most enthusiasm to do the best job that they possibly can, because I think everybody just really, really believes in this show and the work that we're doing.
Is it too much too soon?
No. No. It is upsetting, the future being so grim for everyone.
The never throws up a lot, like, what the hell's going to happen next, We think we're in a Victorian thing, but actually, suddenly we've been tossed into this extraordinary world.
We're getting thrown into a very different world. It's being filmed very differently, captured very differently.
The writing staff in Los Angeles, when we were originally breaking this story, we spent at least a day just talking about, would these stories be woven together? Should we start in the future? And the original thought was that we would be cutting between and genuinely weaving these stories together. And we ended up deciding, and it was just confusing, and we finally realized that they needed to be told unwoven. We do all of one story, then all of another, then all of another.
It was really, really hard. trying to find the right thing for the outpost because, it's some ridiculous time in the future. And we tried to find a location that we might be able to work into, and it became clear that we really had to build it.
The set's extraordinary.
The Galanthe from the beginning we knew would lie as a visual effect. From the very beginning we had 3 words. It was elephant, octopus, T-Rex. So the idea was, okay, we want the wiseness of an elephant, that great, tough, gray, leathery skin, but then we wanted the alien-esque qualities of an octopus. The T-Rex part was to give him an aggressive, assertive attitude as well, so that as gentle and wise a creature as it is, that if provoked, it can be scary.
The Galanthe has been trying to help